What's up, MVP? Streebo here with you from where? Newtonville.com. You can see it on my shirt there somewhere. I'm shooting this video as a direct response to DEADPIT. DEADPIT, the best in horror talk radio. Find them at DEADPIT.com. Creepy Kentucky and Uncle Bill. And it's just like the name implies. The best in horror talk radio. Yeah, everybody knows it. But CK made a comment recently that indie horror sucks and that DEADPIT was no longer going to review it so that independent filmmakers could quit asking him to review their films. So, okay. So I figured that applies to everybody that's an independent filmmaker, which includes myself, possibly yourself if you're watching this. I thought we should all talk about it. Where to begin? I can speak from my own experience first before I speculate on everything else, but I've only asked DEADPIT to review one film for me, which was Devil Comes Down. That's only an 8-minute film, so it's not like that'll take up a whole lot of your life, but as far as I know, they never reviewed it. If they hated it, thank you for not stating it publicly. If you just haven't got around to watching it, well, that happens. I know how that goes. I've got stacks of movies everywhere too, but I fear the qualifying factor that would hopefully inspire them to watch it, aside from the 8-minute runtime, would be the fact that it was a runner-up in the American Zombie Horror Film Contest hosted by George A. Romero, and both of those guys claim Dawn of the Dead as their favorite movie. My cats are running around me, so they're like distracting me, but as long as they don't interrupt the video, we're going to keep things going for as long as we can. Because I'm trying not to let this evolve into a rant, because I don't know, you get to saying crazy things and about this person and that person, or not about people, but you get to talking about movies or thoughts, and once you start talking about certain movies, it divides everyone into factions, and once we get into factions, it's who likes what, who hates what, and if somebody likes something that the other one hates, they'll be sure to let you know about it. So yeah, that's the part I don't like about horror fandom, is why do people have to share their hate? The part I liked about it was when everybody was a fanboy or a super fan like myself, and they just talked about what they loved. That's why I like guys like Ryan 1988 or whatever the numbers are. It's hard to keep up with all those. Cat is super positive here on YouTube, so that's very, very cool. But not going to review indie horror anymore. I can, in one way, understand why CK and Uncle Bill would say that. Well, Uncle Bill didn't say that, don't let me. CK is the one that said it. Or typed it, rather, if you're, if you know where to see it. I can almost sympathize with them, because honestly, there's not a whole lot of indie horror that really thrills me. I mean, well, I feel like there is a lot, because I find a lot that I like, but the majority doesn't thrill me. But there's still a small percentage where it's maybe 25%, maybe 30% of it, maybe less. I don't know, but that percent that does it really works for me. When I talk about movies that I like, I mean, it's evident if you've seen my other videos. I'm talking about real indie stuff, like the things that we shoot here in North Carolina. Not even talking about Mutinville, but we've got a lot of friends across the board. Now, speaking of Michael, he's a writer-director himself. I mean, I actually helped do videography on both of his films so far. The guy's a phenomenal actor, but I really admire his writing style for certain. He is very his works are very emotionally charged. He really goes right for the jugular with for looking for a very visceral response, both from his audience and the characters, and that's cool. I think I'm more of a plot driven kind of storyteller, very plot driven, and I don't know, there's a lot of other crazy things. I really can't analyze my own style yet. I need someone out there to watch the movies that we've made so far and tell me what my style is, you know, because I'm in the center of it and I see, you know, my influences and where I try not to rip them off and do something that's uniquely my own. But then at the same instance, when you've been raised on a diet of, you know, just top-notch works by directors and amazing writers and fantastic storytellers, you know, those things become your foundation, and even when you try to get away from it, they're still inside. So that's one of the things that dismays me about the horror critical crowd, because they'll cry rip off too quickly. I think a good example of that was a review I read for a certain film recently. Well, for Michael's film, Monomaniacal, actually, and they said that at one point they ripped off Halloween. So, you know, I just responded to the guy and told him, you know, I didn't think it was a rip off. I thought it was an homage, and I thought it was tastefully done. So yeah, and that guy was a real idiot anyway, because he said in his review, well, in like this freaking fucking sarcastic, holier than thou tone, probably what people think of me, but that he said it's a hallmark of a bad independent film when suddenly you cut from night to day. Well, guess what? This movie has it, and because of that, I hated it, or something to that effect. He's paraphrasing it, but if you Google search for Monomaniacal reviews, you'll find it in my comments beneath. But that was just dumb, because in the movie there is a transition between the two. There's actually a shot of a sunset between the night shot and the day shot, so not sunset but sunrise, and yeah, that means transition to sunrise and daytime. So the guy was an idiot, and there you go. And that's the kind of attitude that one encounters, you know, in the internet. You don't run into this stuff so much in person. Have such a great time in person. It's really like, just like Ken Daniels says in our Fright Night interview, which part 5 of it was just posted last week, and there's a couple more parts coming. I'm posting them out, spreading them out in lead up to Fright Night. So, you know, he said that he wants the Fright Night Film Festival to be our church, where horror fans can come from across the globe, across the country, across the globe, across the universe, and you know, have this great experience, a gathering of fans and artists and friends, and create memories. And that's what, you know, the con experience is all about. And I've always had such a really positive con experience with everybody I've met. They're super cool in person, but the internet is just, it's horrible. The idiots really come out on the internet, where people, they hide behind anonymous names and faces, and you know, they let their worst side come out, and a lot of them are probably, you know, 12-year-olds. And like they always say, like Joe Rogan and his buddy Redman always say, you know, if I was 12 years old on the internet, I'd be an asshole to everybody too. So I don't think I would have been. I was really boring as a 12-year-old. I was a milk toast white bread nerd. So there you go. Yeah. So internet's a crazy place. Michael's movie Monomaniacal is it's an example of what I think is good about independent horror. So is his follow-up film, The Devil, and you hear my cat trying to creep out behind me there, because they're both honest expressions of himself, honest expressions of horror, and he really tries to create some emotion there. And they're original. They're not fan films. They're not obvious, blatant slasher rip-offs, but they are original little short films. So that's why I dig them. And I dig everything that really tries to be itself, that tries to be a new and unique expression. You know, other filmmakers I like, Scott Goldberg, I've watched his stuff for years, and I really admire him. Now, before I can get off on a tangent talking about some of these guys' work, but I'll go ahead and give you a lot of the different names. Here in North Carolina, Robert W. Fillion, the guy that actually won the George Romero American Zombie Film Contest and kicked our ass, and his movie See the Dead swept Devil Comes Down under the carpet, so to speak. The guys at Last Call Pictures, our buddy Paul Striner makes some cool stuff. James Ryan Gary did Devil's Crossing. They're all unique expressions. They're not rip-offs, not fan films. Going back to Scott Goldberg, this is a cat who I really think has it going right. He's a film school graduate, and he's making short independent horror films, you know, for very, very little money, but he's trying to do very much what we do here at MVP, which is try to get together the best artists around, the best technicians available, and really put your heart and soul into everything and really craft a work of a work that has some kind of meaning behind it. Scott's stuff is very politically charged, and I'm really proud of the cat for that. I have said to him, though, that some of his stuff is too politically on the nose and he needed to reel it back and hide it, which is what I do with my stuff. Devil Comes Down is a super politically charged movie, you know, and it's not obvious at all. That's our zombie movie, and well, that's where things get tricky. Is as soon as an artist is in talks and tells you, well, this is important, you need to pay attention to it, it's got this and that and this and that in it, and it'll change your life the way you think, you know, it'll change you as a person. You just think, this guy's full of shit. I don't want to listen to him. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Because it's presumptuous of an artist to say that they're going to change your life, because the audience might be exposed to the work and have no effect on them whatsoever. And now I'm getting to the point where I don't even like to call myself an artist, because damn it, I went to the Christmas show, the John Waters Christmas at the Durham Theater, before Christmas, and he said, you can't call yourself an artist, that history has to determine whether or not you're an artist. So, okay, I don't know what to call myself then. I guess I can just be a filmmaker. But then that takes us back full circle to CK's comments that, movies nowadays aren't even shot on film, they're shot on digital. Well, at the independent level at least, you know. And I think Mr. Beck, aka Dick Joy, I hate saying people's stupid screen names on like this, but yeah, we are on the internet. But anyway, he said that in the old day, and I like Beck anyway, he's a cool cat, so no disrespect to him, but just paraphrasing what he said, that in the old days, filmmakers would raise up some money and then go and make their movie. And that's true, that they shot it on film, but that's where a lot of their budget went, was on film. Well, guys, that was the old days. So the argument doesn't really hold up anymore, because the future is digital. Now, the future is now. Digital is now. I mean, it's everywhere. You can't say that digital movies aren't movies anymore, because there are too many. I mean, there's even great horror films that have been shot on digital that you love, whether it's Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror, but the dang, or what's the other one? Can anybody think? Think. Dang! Shot on an XL1, 28 days later. It's a big one people always cite too. People are calling this the best zombie movie. Man, bullshit on that. It's a good movie, but it's about infected people and they're not zombies. So it's a totally different subgenre. But it's an awesome movie. It's probably the best infected people movie. Planet Terror, much in the same way.